Hi, this is Judy from Soul Farm. As Sprout and I get ready to practice this hip work sequence, you'll come onto your mat in tabletop, hands and knees, with your wrists below your shoulders and your knees beneath your hips. Now we'll begin to move through cat and cow. Inhale, lift your tailbone, lift your gaze, and let your belly drop. And exhale, round your spine, tucking your tailbone and your chin. Inhale, lengthen back to a back bend, and exhale and round your spine. Inhale, lengthen and lift into your back bend, and exhale, round and bring your hips all the way to your heels for a child's pose. Inhale forward to tabletop with a back bend, and exhale, round, hips to heels, child's pose. Again, inhale forward, tabletop, with a back bend, and exhale back to a neutral spine. Now extend your left leg straight back and curl your toes under on the floor and just rock a little back and forth to warm up the foot and the calf, and then lift your leg, bend your knee, flexing your foot, and take little pulses into the glute. And then extend your knee out towards the left and take little pulses into your side hip. Re-extend your foot towards the sky, 2 pulses into the center of your glute, and then 2 pulses out to the side. Take 2 back into the center of the glute and 2 back out to the side, and then keeping your knee lifted to the side, start to make large circles with your knee. Big circles, taking your hip through the full range of motion, and then switch the direction of your circles. Big circles, as big as you can. And then pause when your knee is lifted and extend your leg and lower your foot to the floor like a big kickstand. Inhale and lift your left arm high to the sky, and exhale, thread it underneath the right. Inhale, lift your arm high, and exhale, thread, lowering your shoulder toward the ground. Inhale, a big lift, and exhale, thread. Now inhale, one more, big lift, and as you exhale, reach your left arm way forward, match it with your right, and stretch your hips way back for a big stretch, opening up your chest and your shoulders, and tilt your tailbone a little up so that you can feel a stretch in your inner thigh. This pose is also a great way to create some length and release tension in the spine. Now, lift your shoulders and walk your hands back, and then keep walking your hands back until you find yourself standing just on your right knee, and extend your left foot forward into an easy lunge with your right knee still planted on the mat. From here, you'll adjust your hat if you're wearing one, roll your shoulders together and down the back, and interlace your hands behind your hips. As you lift your heart, let your hips lower toward the mat. You'll feel a good stretch in the front of your right hip. Take a few breaths here, opening your chest, opening your right hip flexor. Bring both hands back to your left knee. Now, lift your right arm high on an inhale, and as you exhale, revolve your heart towards the left, prayering your hands. Another good release for the spine. Take a few breaths here in this twist. Revolve out of the twist, place your hands on the ground, lift your right knee, and lower your left knee down to the mat, right by your left thumb. Sit all the way over on your left hip. There will be a little bend in your right knee behind you. Open your left knee to a 90-degree angle. Your shin will be parallel with the front of your mat, and your thigh with the long edge of your mat. As you lower your upper body, you'll begin to feel an opening, a stretch in the left hip. This pose is a modified pigeon. It's much easier on the knees than a regular pigeon, but if you aren't feeling enough of a hip opening, you can take your right hand back to your right hip and kind of press it down towards the mat. That will help deepen the angle in the left hip. Again, remember that your front shin is parallel to the short edge of your mat, the very front of your mat. And breathe here. Now lift your upper body and draw your left heel closer to your hips. Curl your right toes under, lift your right knee and just slide your left knee back, right under your hip in a one-kneed tabletop, and rock back and forth, opening up your right calf and your right foot. And then lift your leg, bend the knee, and take pulses into the center of your right glute. Then open your knee to the side for pulses to your side hip. Back up, pressing your foot towards the sky, and back out to the side, back into your side hip. Little squeezes center and side, and then finally hold your knee out to the right and start to make your circles again. Big circles, really exploring the range of motion in your hip. And then reverse the circles, taking them in the other direction, still exploring the range of motion in your hip. Finally, hold your knee up and extend your legs straight and lower your foot like a kickstand to the right. Inhale, lift your right arm high to the sky, and exhale, thread it under the left, shoulder towards the mat. Inhale, arm to the sky, and exhale, thread it under the left. Inhale, arm to the sky, exhale, thread. Inhale, lift. And last time, exhale, thread. Now this time, inhale and lift your arm high to the sky, and as you exhale, reach it in front of you. Match it with your left, and gluing your hands down, stretch your hips way back. Lift your tailbone a little so that you feel a stretch in your right inner thigh, as again you open the shoulders and the chest and lengthen the spine. Lift your shoulders and begin to walk your hands all the way back till you're standing just on your left knee, and sweep your right leg forward, finding that deep lunge. Take both hands to your right knee, roll your shoulders together and down the back, and then interlace your hands behind your hips. Lift your heart towards the sky as you press your knuckles down, and sink your hips towards the mat as well for a good opening in your left hip flexor, the front of your left hip. Now, bring your right hand to your right hip and lift your left arm high and take a twist to the right, praying your hands. Take a few breaths here. Lower your hands back to the mat and lift your left knee off the mat. Scoop your right foot out, place your knee down next to your right thumb, and lower your whole right hip to the mat. Open your right knee to that 90-degree angle. Your shin is parallel with the short edge of the mat, your thigh is parallel with the long edge, and your left knee is a little bit bent behind you. As you lean your upper body forward, you'll begin to feel a stretch in your right hip now. Continue to breathe here, letting yourself get very heavy and relaxing your right hip. Now remember, as you hold the stretch, if you don't feel you're getting an intense enough stretch in the right hip, take your left hand to your left hip and gently push it down towards the mat. That will increase both the angle and the stretch in the right hip. And then begin to lift your upper body and draw your right heel in close to your hips, curl your left toes under, and lift back to tabletop. Bring your hips to your heels and reach back with your hands and take a firm hold of your heels. Tuck your chin to your chest, resting the top of your head to the mat, and 3 or 4 times, just lift and lower your hips, giving your upper back a good stretch. And after that, bring your hands into a goalpost position, resting your forehead on the mat. Your knees can be together or apart as you rest in child's pose for a few breaths. And now, lift your upper body back to seated and bring your palms together at the heart. Give yourself a deep inner bow for attending to this short practice with me and Sprout, and we thank you for sharing your effort and your energy with us. Namaste. Good dog, Sprout.